What's up y'all, I'm Murren and I'm Modman. In this series I'll tell you all I know about modding the famous anime game, so hopefully you can make your own mods soon. In this video, first of all, I'm a bit sick, pollen allergies, so if my voice is a bit muffled, that's why. It's been a bit, I'm sorry, I had some stuff to do, but I'm back now, and this video will be about weapon porting, specifically weapon ports that aren't really doable using the methods I explained in the earlier videos. It will also cover porting custom objects to weapons, for example, a random object you found on the internet or something you modded yourself. So this video will be three parts. First off, a script I wrote that I will talk about for a bit. Secondly, will be the part where you port weapons to weapons. And lastly, the part where you're gonna port objects to weapons. So, let's first get into the script. The script is available in Gamebanana. You can just download or copy it, and it's just usable for everyone. All you need is Python. You can pretty much just go Python and go here and then download the Python software. And the way to go about this script is it will automatically port a weapon for you without having to manually find stuff, etc., etc. So there's two main ways to do this. One is the normal port and one is the complex port. The normal port only ports weapons like swords to other swords without any vertex groups. The complex port ports weapons that have vertex groups, for example, book catalysts. And the forced version will ignore all safety checks. There's like a forced flag. It will ignore all safety checks. This is not recommended. It will probably break your mod, but it will port something anyways. And it's only usable if you're 100% sure that it will actually work. So how to use this script? If I open my mods folder real quick over here, and I go to mods, let's say weapon mods, and I have a Favonius Lance mod over here. So in here, I would need to paste the script. So what I can do is on the Gamebanana page, I can download it. I can move it into here. However, you gotta rename it to a Python extension because, well, somehow it always posts as a CFG file in Gamebanana. I can't really do anything about it, but the script will still, you just have to change the extension basically. So I could go into detail on how the script works, but basically that's all useless. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to tell you how to use it. We have the Favonius Lance INI, we have the script. We only need one more thing, and that is a hash.json for the weapon that we want to port the mod to. So over here on the assets page, you can see the hash values for all the characters and stuff, but of course also the weapon. So let's just say I want to port this to the prototype star glitter. I'm gonna download that hash and I'm gonna move it into here and rename it hash.json. Now, if I hold shift, press right mouse button, then and press my right mouse button, then there will be an option called Open PowerShell window here. I'm gonna do that, and you get this funny blue window. And if everything is okay, then you would get the location of where you are right now up here. And what you're gonna type is you're gonna type Python, the script, weapon, make sure that there's no space or something. That's my bad. I'll just call it WP script, just less typing. So Python, then the name of the script, in this case vpscript.py, that is the extension. And now we can do flags. So without any flags, it would just do the normal port, but we can also add the complex and the forced port. But without any flags, we can just press enter. And we get an error saying hash.json file invalid. The weapon contains parts that disallow hash porting. And this is because, as you can see, there's position and blend VBs that are not existing in the Favonius Lens.ini. So it's something that you cannot port. For that, you could use the forced version, but it won't like it. The game just probably won't accept it because you miss certain values. So back here, we need to choose something that has the proper values. For example, the lithic spear. So we can download the lithic spear, and we're gonna drag it into, we're gonna drag it into here. Oh, fuck. I'm just gonna rename it to hash.json, there we go. And then we can just press the up button to run the same script again. And as you can see, porting finished. If there's an issue, contact me. So now you have the old disabled Favonius Lens and a new Favonius Lens.ini. If I now would go into my game, and Zhongli is a polearm character. He is now holding a beautiful asparagus. If we find the Favonius Lens real quick, I think it's no, where is it? Here, the Favonius Lens. Then you see that it's still modded because I haven't refreshed my mods yet. If everything goes well, then it should appear on the lithic spear right now. So I press F10. And as you can see, it's perfectly ported to the lithic spear. And the Favonius Lens is not modded anymore because the hashes are changed. That is the way to use this script and port your weapons very easily without even having to know anything about ini files or whatever. Of course, you can also use this on, for example, book catalysts. However, circle catalysts and other stuff might not work perfectly. I'm not going to demonstrate that. However, if your weapon has vertex groups, so if it has like a hash file over here with multiple hashes, then you need to use the complex one. If you use the complex one over a weapon mod that doesn't have vertex groups, it will break, so it just won't run. If you force it, it might break. So you can still port it, but the script might not like it, so you will have to use Blender for that, and that is what we're going to do in a few seconds. So, in part 2, we will talk about how to actually port weapons that don't really like these kind of stuff. You know, they have vertex groups or they don't, they have mismatching vertex groups. So I'm gonna use, for an example, let's see, which ones did I take? I have a lot of weapons, I'm sorry. Or did I put it in here? Oh, right, here, perfect example. The Hakushin ring. And import the Hakushin ring and 1,000 floating dreams. So, as we know already, these two have quite different things. For example, the body and the head are two different objects, so that's kind of fucked up. And the Hakushin ring itself has different animations. If we look into the vertex groups, you can see that these have, the Hakushin ring has 0 to 6, because it has the tassels, you know. And the 1,000 floating dreams has literally only 2 on each object. So the only way we can port this is we will have to sacrifice some vertex groups. But first, let's look at how they actually rotate. So for that I have to check my catalysts. Who is the catalyst user? Wanderer. And let's open the Hakushin ring. So the inner part rotates slowly and the outer part rotates fast, and the tassels like kind of dangle along. For the 1,000 floating dreams, this one, you see that the outer part doesn't really rotate at all, and the inner part does rotate. So the way to go about porting this is basically, we cannot get everything to rotate, because the 1,000 floating dreams only has one rotating part. So we will have to resort for the Hakushin ring to not animate the tassels at all. They will just have to be static or removed. And the inner part cannot rotate, and we can have the outer part rotate along with what's here the inner side. So back to Blender. we want the entire body thing to be gone. So I'm literally just gonna delete everything in the body part because we don't need it. Then in the head part and the Hakushin head, we need to match vertex groups. So let's go into weight painting. As you can see, the inner part is weighted to 6. Let's hide this for better view. The inner part is weighted to 6, which should not move. 0 is not weighted at all. 1 is the outer ring, as you can see. And 2, 3, 4, 5 are for the tassels. We already know that we cannot animate the tassels, so you can either delete them or you can just weight them to what you're gonna animate the outer ring to. We want the outer ring to rotate, so let's check what the 1000 Floating Dreams has. For 1 is the rotating part and 0 is everything that is static. So we're gonna copy that over to here. So we don't need 6. Okay, 6 should be what stays still, what is static. So we can rename that to 0, and the actual 0, we can just remove that by clicking on the little minus. So now we have a vertex group 0, let's sort by name. That is the part that will stay static. Perfect. For 1, we want everything that rotates. 2, 3, 4, and 5 are useless, so we can just delete them because they won't exist anyways. For 1, as you can see, the outer ring is already fully weighted, so that's cool. For the little tassels, we will just have to manually weight them. So let's use the gradient tool to add weights to everything. How to actually do all of this I explained in my character tutorial, so I recommend checking that out to actually understand how all these vertex groups and stuff work. It takes too long to explain every single video. So that's epic. Now we have weighted the Hakushin ring as far as we can. So now we can go over to the head of Floating Dreams. We can remove all the vertices. And we can just take the Hakushin ring and join it into the 1000 Floating Dreams head with Ctrl-J. And now pretty much the modeling is done. We don't have to fuck with anything else because that's all the same. And we can just export it, export Genshin's mod folder. We're going to weapons, tutorial, 1000 Floating Dreams. And we're gonna export it there. And now a mod folder is generated for us. We can, oh, that's the wrong folder, over here. There we go, that is the characters. Weapons, tutorial, and as you can see, a mod file is generated for us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy this. And we're gonna go to our mods folder. Let's go to mod testing. Why do I have so many? And we're gonna paste it here. However, as you guys might have noticed, we changed the mesh, so the textures should also be changed. The body, we just emptied that, so we don't even need it. What you can even do is remove it altogether and edit the ini. Takes too long. We emptied it, so it's fine. However, for the head diffuse, which is somehow the normal map, the head light map, and the head diffuse and the head light map. I don't know why the names are fucked up, but it's fine. We will need to change them. So we gotta take the textures from the Hakushin ring, which is over here. As you can see, it only has a diffuse and a light map and no normal map. So when you have something that has a normal map, but you're overlaying something without a normal map over it, the easiest way to fix that is literally just take this snot green color and fill the entire normal map with it. That means that the entire normals will just be normal, and that's fine. So let's save that as linear, BC7, make sure it's linear, and save that, and we don't have to fuck with that anymore. For the diffuse, wow, that voice crack. For the diffuse, we literally just copy over the Hakushin ring over this one, and we copy the light map over to this one. The light map should also be saved in linear. The diffuse should be saved in sRGB. And now, in the other folder, let's change our view to large icons. You can see that they're edited. We don't need to change those because they're literally not used. And now, if we go into our game and we press F10, you will see the Hakushin ring. As you can see, the textures are kind of fucked up. and that's probably because of the way that the textures are loaded on the 1000 Floating Dreams being different. The colors change because of the Ascension stuff. If you go into the original dump that I probably have somewhere over here, you will see that it has ascended textures, which are basically changed textures based on the ascension of the thing. I think the dump, the exporting fucked that up because of the ascension stuff. So once again, there are limitations. I'll give one other example of how you can port stuff, but it might be a bit fucked up. And that is a mod I made earlier over the Last Prayer of the Sacred Winds. Someone wanted me to port the Titula's Remembrance on it. However, as you guys might know, the Last Prayer of the Sacred Wind doesn't rotate because it's a book. If we disable mods for a second, it's a book and it doesn't have any rotating parts. So the only thing we can do is make sure that it exists by weighting it to something, and that's pretty much all you can do about it. There is no alternative ways to magically create animations unless you make it an animation mod, but then you would have to have a shit ton of folders because every single rotation frame would be a separate mod that would be continuously loaded. So there are limitations to weapon porting with mismatching vertex groups and mismatching objects and stuff. However, it is doable. The only thing you have to basically watch out for is how the vertex groups mismatch and try to make them match as good as possible. For the last part of this video, I'm gonna talk about how to have a custom object as a mod. So I don't really have any custom objects ready right now. So I'm just gonna model one real quick. So it's not much, but it's something. Let's port a random object over a weapon. As you can see, it has vertex groups and whatever, vertex groups, UV edits and whatever. So if I'm gonna let's take the first sword import that I can find, or maybe a claymore would be more fitting, the bell. Let's import the bell. So the first thing we gotta do is make sure that the position lines up. Make sure to do that in edit mode, otherwise the transforms might be a bit fucked up. So let's just make the handle here. Like that. I kind of forgot to make a handle, but I can just steal the one from the bell, I guess. So for the weapon you imported, you gotta check a few things. Well, you don't really need to check them, but you just gotta understand. Stuff in Genshin has UV maps that are a very specific name. They are a very specific color attribute. They have a few other attributes. You need to keep those. So the easiest way to do that, because now joining this into the other will add the UV map to here, but the textcore.xy UV map won't have any data for whatever the fuck I modeled here. The way to fix that is very simple. You can do it manually, but I wrote a script for it that you can find on AGMMG in the tools channel. So it's called object UV / vertex color fixer script. And basically what it does all the boring stuff for you. So just copy that, go into the scripting tab, hit new, paste the entire thing. For weapons, instead of all the way at the bottom, you have like this alcohol layer. Change this to 0 instead of 0.5. For character 0.5, for weapons 0 is best. And make sure you have only selected the object that you custom modeled, not the weapon itself, and you hit run. And if we now go back to the weapon, the thing I modeled, you see that it has a text coord values, it has a color attribute, and it's ready to be added to a weapon. Basically, it's now the same as porting another weapon. So you basically just delete everything that is in the original weapon, but in this case, I'm gonna keep the handle because I'm a lazy modeler. So I'm gonna merge by distance, sharp edges, because it allows me to select bigger parts quicker. There we go. Then delete all those vertices. Now we have just a handle left, and it's kind of fucked up, so let's kind of drag it into there. Perfect. Now we have a claymore with a big ass kebab or whatever. So one last thing we have to do is check UVs. Of course, for the bell handle, there are still some UVs. So I gotta make sure that these don't match, overlap them. So I'll just scale it to the top right. I recommend spending a little more time on your UVs, but of course when you don't have anything left from the original weapon, you don't have to look at what is still left from the original weapon, if that makes sense. However, here I still have the handle, so I'll just make sure that the UVs don't overlap. And now I can just join it together into the bell head object. And I basically have the weapon done. Of course, I need to texture it, and I'm gonna be very lazy with that. So let's export this first. Bell, export. Which one? This one. Weapons, bell mod. Copy this. Let's go into here. And let's paste this into here. Then for the bell head diffuse, of course in the top left, I have the thing I made, the UVs for that. So I'm just gonna literally fill that with a poo brown color. I cannot be bothered to put more effort into texturing just for this tutorial, so I won't. I recommend doing it if you're gonna do it yourself, but yeah, I don't have the time to do that. So let's fix the light map and diffuse. This should be linear. And now if we go into the game and we select a claymore character, for example my boy Razor, and we find the bell over here, we press F10 to reload mods. Then I kind of fucked up the texturing, but you see that I now have a giant ass kebab that Razor is holding. I can probably fix the... I gotta check something. Yep, I didn't fix the UVs properly. So the UVs are still giant as fuck here. And I have to fix them. So export, Genshin's mod folder, the bell. And now, of course, you don't want to copy the entire folder over because you also copy the new diffuse and stuff. So you only want the buff and the IP pretty much. And paste that over here to override it. Wait, that is the wrong folder. Let's refresh. And now Razor is holding a big ass kebab. Yeah, looks good. So that is a very quick tutorial on porting weapons that cannot be ported normally, and how to port custom objects into other weapons. It is, of course, I kind of half-assed it because I'm pretty sure that I have covered how to texture stuff and how to care with UV maps and vertex groups enough. I am not going to do that in every single video again. So it is just basically the basics of getting to understand how to actually make an object ready to be imported into Genshin. I hope you had enough information to do something yourself. If not, then feel free to ask in the comments or watch my other videos. Please subscribe. I really want the content creator role in AGMMG, and see you next time.